Here's a brief video tutorial on how to continue filling out our drawing of our brain. So in the last video we saw how to doodle a basic brain. We drew three major structures and then we drew the internal ventricles. And we labeled those structures, and then I left it to you to go ahead and label the parts of the ventricles. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to label and draw the lobes of the brain. So in order to do this, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this slide by right-clicking and then selecting the duplicate option. All right, once I do that, now I can go ahead and delete my image if I want to, and I can delete out my ventricle labels because those might get in the way in a little while. All right, so I'll go up to my scribble tool, and the first thing I want to do is identify where I'm going to put in the central sulcus. It doesn't have to be exactly right, but I'll draw it in right there, and you can see I didn't draw it as a full object. I'll go ahead and right-click, make this outline red, very thick, and we'll make it dashed. Okay, so that's going to serve as a landmark that will hopefully put us in the right place. So I'm going to move it back just a little bit. Now I'll grab my doodle tool here and go ahead and draw around and back up along this line in order to create the frontal lobe. Then I'll draw along here and in like this to create my temporal lobe, and then around like this to designate my occipital lobe, and then around here to identify my parietal lobe. Okay, so now we have these four different pieces, and we can select all of them by holding Shift and selecting, then right-click. Then I'll make my outline black, and outline, we'll make it 3, and we'll make it dashed. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and color in each of these to help distinguish. So I'll make this one a dark red. I'll make this one a green, this one a purple, and this one a blue. So clearly we then need to label these. So I can select this, copy and paste it, move it around, and here I'm going to have occipital lobe, and I'm going to move this a little bit closer like this, then copy and paste, again using that Control-C or Command-C function, and then the Control-V. So this is the parietal lobe, copy and paste. So this up here is going to be the frontal lobe, and so I'll change that. And then finally we'll label the temporal lobe. So this is one of the reasons that we wanted that first drawing to be relatively accurate, so that we could put in these other parts and have it a unified whole. Okay, we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And again, if we'd like to, we can select one of these, go to Format, then go to Shape Styles, and basically we just want to get to this menu, and then we can go to 40% here, and we can go to 40% here, 40% here, and 40% here. And so now we can see that while we have each of these lobes, we can still see inside and get the sense that the ventricles are there in the middle. I also want to point out that we drew in the central sulcus, so if you can just grab that. If not, you can move your frontal lobe and your parietal lobes out of the way, and we can right-click, and bring to the front, or you can use the Control-X and Control-V function. All right? And so here we've got those two pieces back into place, and we'll copy this and paste it in, and we'll point to this part here and label it the central sulcus. Okay, so here again we have our original picture with the ventricles. Now we've got a new set, and we can duplicate this again if we need to. If we wanted to, say, draw a mid-sagittal perspective, right? And we could find what a mid-sagittal perspective looks like either in a textbook, or we could do brain figure mid-sagittal. Okay, and if we do that, we can then see that there are a bunch of different labeled features, and so you can add in the structures that we've talked about. All right? So we'd have the corpus callosum clearly, and then we'd want to label each of the lobes appropriately, okay, so that we know what they look like from the lateral perspective and then from the medial perspective. So I hope you found that helpful. All the best.